Yes, I Love by Ediv playing right here on Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. How you doing? I am Shiiru Mwangi, and right about now in studio with me is a really interesting guest. Interesting because I had told you that he would be interesting. He has a really distinctive fashion sense. It stands out, but his music as well stands out. And he smiles like a sake. He smiles like a sake. Look at the camera for guys to see. You might walk in the streets of Nairobi and bump into him and just shout, guys, a sake is here.
I once had someone do that.
Really? In Nairobi or okay, so
Literally have people do that all the time.
okay, introducing ladies and gentlemen for the very first time on Icon Radio, um, Ediv,
Edit.
karibu sana.
Asante. The name that was what I think they gave me Chalo.
Chalo.
What does that mean?
Woo! Wamekupea jina ya Kikamba. Who gave you the name Chalo?
Some guy at KU radio.
Okay, at KU Radio, called you Chalo. So I'll give you a different name by the end of this interview. So we'll see if guys in studio will tell me if we'll give him my name or we'll give him Chalo. But you're not Kenyan. Where are you from? You're Nigerian. You're a Niger boy. So for how long have you been in the country?
Like
2, 3 months in Nairobi for Yes I Love. I noticed Nicole on your music video. The dark skinned beautiful lady. And she's a spoken word poet as well. I'm not sure if you guys got to interact. Okay, so you've been in the. She did really good. So you've been in the country for 3 months. Are you in the country to do music? Are you visiting? Are you promoting your music in the country? Then Rudy, what's happening?
it was all like as if I was just trying to do the same.
Mhm.
Like come in here,
Mhm.
get some rice, and then also make a So
Mhm.
when I came, I figured out
Mhm.
there's some kind of consistency here in Nairobi.
Mhm.
So like just doing stuff.
Mhm.
I came with my friends, so I just set up this studio. I actually recorded it in
Okay,
Nairobi.
in Nairobi, 2, 3 months ago. Okay, so you're here to do music.
Yeah.
So you're staying.
Yeah.
Great,
You know, like I would like to stay.
but you know
It's a nice place.
that is really ironic because
Yeah.
Niger is literally the hub of music.
I know that.
And aside from you, there's our resident DJ for our show called The Stitch.
Yeah.
His name is Ascom. He's a Nigerian boy as well.
Okay, yeah.
And
I'm the only person.
exactly,
Yeah.
I'll introduce you guys. So why then did you come to pursue your music in Kenya?
Okay. Nothing actually because the Nigerian market is really great.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that it's great.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, wherever you are
Mhm.
making music as a Nigerian person
Mhm.
and someone who identifies with the Afrobeat,
Yeah.
yeah, in one way, whether you're doing fusion or you're doing all Afro pop,
Mhm.
you always go back home. No
Yes.
matter where you go. So and it's not a far distance. I can just take a flight just
It's
back
just
home.
how many hours?
You get just go back home and do whatever I have to do. Come back. So wherever I am, I'm still representing Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
All right. So how long have you been in the music scene?
It's been a while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was singing in the church.
You were singing in the
I
church.
tell my mom I've left the church.
Oh my God. And look at the transformation. Or were you singing in church
Even while I was in church,
looking
I was
like
just
Asake?
for real. I was the the jiggy church boy.
The Jiggy Church
Yeah,
Boy.
you
All
know,
right.
you know.
So your name was JC
Jones,
Jones.
yeah,
JC Jones,
yeah,
and you have now transformed into into a whole other
person,
person.
yeah,
So when I think about your name, or when I now started to look at your bio and
yeah,
how you changed your name right now stands for every dream
it's valid.
is valid, and it gives meditation and chakras,
You know what I mean?
and it gives spirituality.
I
So
am spiritual.
tell me about that transformation.
Okay. Basically, transforming from understanding yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where spirituality begins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you the moment you take a step to understand who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you actually become spiritual along the line because it opens you to a lot of things. You have to be open minded.
Mm-hmm.
I believe being spiritual is about being open minded.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm not saying the other people. I'm not religious. I'm just spiritual. I believe in it. You know, so you know it's also identifies more with Eddie
Mm-hmm.
more than Jesse.
JC Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
All
So
right.
I got connected more with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did this affect your style of music? What was your style of music before JC Jones became
Okay.
Ediv?
It has been the same. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I have been an intentional musician.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really want, like if I'm talking about love, I'm talking about love. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about money, I want to talk about money. I'm not just fixing the lyrics just for the vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I really write intentionally. You get so
Mm-hmm.
even as Jesse Jones, I was, but I think the delivery
Mm-hmm.
is what I kind of switched up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you always have to give it more
Okay.
as you go. Yeah. So I feel like with the delivery, I grew. But
Oh,
with the project I've had at students, they're awesome.
okay.
Yeah, I have an EP
Uh-huh.
students, yeah. They're also awesome.
Great. So you are still doing alternative R&B trap
Yes.
soul. Great. So now talk to me about, let's get a little bit into spirituality and that whole statement for I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I've done that before. I've
Yeah.
told guys, I'm not religious, I am spiritual.
Yeah.
It's two sides of spirituality from my school of thought.
Okay.
Spirituality for I pray to God, the God of Abraham, uh, twice a day, or however many times that you'd like to pray.
Yeah.
And there's the spirituality for chakras and the third eye and meditation and what else? Burning sage.
I know all. Yeah, all of them.
So which side are you on?
Okay, now
Uh huh.
the part of praying to God of Abraham and God of whoever,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think is religion.
That's what you think is
Yeah. So it
religion.
can only be one spirituality. Spirituality just is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually believing in the higher being,
Mm-hmm.
not saying it has to be the one for Christians. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be the one for Muslims, right?
Yes.
Because if you say it has to be the one for Christians, so what are you trying to say? You're trying to say that the Muslims are doing something wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
it's about believing in one being who is above everyone. You know, like I believe that the universe
Mm-hmm.
is really what we're here for. The universe is the one in control.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe in connecting with the universe. I'm not talking about the Christian God or whoever God. Of course, I'm a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm more like not religious about that. So I believe in manifestation.
Mm-hmm. Manifestation.
Now,
Uh-huh.
my mind
Mm-hmm.
is God.
Your mind is God.
Yes.
So, oh yeah, I have had guys who are into spirituality saying your body is God. You are
Do you
God.
get now?
Mhm.
So you know, like they say, what God cannot do does not exist.
Mhm.
You've heard people saying that.
Yeah.
So for me, it is about your mind. More like your life is a reflection of your thoughts.
Yes.
So your life is basically a reflection of your dominant thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, if you
Oh,
keep
your life is a reflection of your dominant thoughts.
yeah, basically. So more like you, if you notice, sometimes you're driving and oh my god, I don't want to crash.
Yes.
You end up crashing because that's what you're thinking of.
Okay.
Do you get so? The universe, they don't know, they can't differentiate between wanting the bad thing or the good thing. They
Mm-hmm.
only give you what they see you thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So if the universe listen to you and you're always thinking about what you don't want
Yeah.
instead of actually thinking about what you want, you
Mm-hmm.
end up giving you what you don't want.
Okay.
So like it's all connected. Like I'm a plant dad, I have plants, so
Yeah.
I also burn incense and I meditate. You know, like
Yeah.
and then spirituality is also about getting into your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So once you are able to get into your subconscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
that means you can actually take control of your life. change the things you want to change, the things you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
More like our lives. The greatest gift God gave to man is the gift of liberty.
Mm-hmm.
You have like he put Adam in the Garden of Eden and was like, go ahead and have fun with everything except one. You get so that's it. You can do anything. You're the God
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Yeah. So your mind is God. Just basically, that's what it is. So I'm not saying there's no one above you, but your
Mm-hmm.
mind is. Even God works with your mind.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's why he said it's impossible to please God without faith.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your mind. Yeah, basically. So
Okay.
yeah.
So let's go all the way back to when you discovered that you had fallen in love with music. When was that?
Like since I was like I can't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always loved music. But I used to just sing it as sing as a child. My dad
Mm-hmm.
was a really like big part of me really falling in love with music because he would give me like assignments.
Mm-hmm.
My dad would go out, he'd go to work, come back,
Uh-huh.
buy me like CDs, like tapes of the game, Two
Yes.
Face, yeah. And
Aha.
then the assignment is by the time I'm back in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to sing every track on this album. Yeah,
Great.
so then it was like it became a part of me. Then if I hear a song immediately, I'll learn it immediately. So
So let me just stop you right there. I we love to face Idibia in
yeah,
Kenya.
yeah.
We don't love him so much after Young African and Famous came out. I'm
Oh,
not sure if
oh, I haven't
if
like
you
I keep saying that, but I haven't really like seen it.
yes,
I
but I'd
haven't.
like for you to sing for me a Two Face Idibia song that you really really love.
Oh, they really love. Everyone loves African
Yeah,
friend.
you can sing that.
Just like the sun, light up the earth, light of my life. Yeah. You're the only one I ever seen with a smile so bright. And just yesterday, you came around my way. So, by the way, I did a song,
Mm-hmm.
and my EP that's coming, I have a reimagined Two Face song. Yeah. It's
Ooh.
everything that I'll be. Yeah, I imagined it in my own way. So it's going to be like in the EP.
Dope.
Yeah. It will.
All right. So is okay. We'll get to that. But is Two Face your one of the people that you have looked up to?
One more or the other, he influences every artist in Nigeria, whether you like it or not.
Whether you
That's why
like
he's
it or
called
not.
Subaba.
To Baba.
Yeah, like he's like
Mm.
the Baba, like whatever, whether you like it or not, there's
Mhm.
an influence.
Okay.
Like Two Face influences every artist in Nigeria, but my main one is Wonderful.
One day call.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your dad asking you
Oh,
to make sure you
yeah.
you
So that's
Mhm.
how it started, and then I started enjoying singing music and
Mhm.
just singing songs, and I would just enjoy it. I realized, oh, I could sing, and my brothers, my mom
Mhm.
was a choir mistress. My mom,
Okay.
yeah, she writes self annotations and all of that. So it wasn't so hard for me. My brothers could sing, so even when we'd be singing our local worship songs and all of that. But then
Mhm.
when I got into our senior class,
Mhm.
that was when because my parents had to take me to a church school.
A church
Yeah, so
school.
we
Okay.
didn't go out. We had our own church service in the school. So
Mhm.
and I was the chapel prefect.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was it
so
a Catholic school?
no, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was a scripture union.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I was made the whatever the chapel prefect, and I was in charge of everything, the music department and everything. So I would because I played the guitar and I played the drums and I played the piano.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I would make arrangement for the band and everything. So that was where it actually like dawned on me that man, you can't even like run away from this stuff. So I started doing it. That was where I really like fell in love with
With
music.
music.
Then after high school,
Mhm.
I was going for auditions.
Mhm.
So I made it to South Africa for The Voice Nigeria.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dope.
So but I didn't get past the blinds because like it's a competition.
Mhm.
So after that, when I got back, I'm like, oh okay,
Mhm.
I think I can do that. Just like let me go into the studio and start recording. That's how I actually, and that was like 2017.
So how many years has this been since now the voice and you
Yeah.
deciding to get into studio and do your thing as JC Jones
Yeah,
at that time,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
How long has it been?
It's been, I think it's been since 2006. Then because a lot of rappers used to like hit me up, come do chorus for us, but because I was really like in the church, then like I was really singing in church, and I didn't really want to do that stuff.
Okay.
I wanted to understand what I was doing. So I don't do
Mm-hmm.
something that in my conscience is not okay with that. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be ready for that. So after I went for the voice, I had to come back and I was like, okay, they made me, that gave me a different understanding of music.
Mm-hmm.
You know how people say gospel music. I don't believe that um, gospel music is only limited just to the church.
Mm-hmm.
No matter the kind of artist you are, you can decide to sing about God anytime you like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why He's God. It's not man. We're judgmental people.
Yeah.
God is not.
So you believe that you can sing your secular music and still create music
If you
to,
come in my space,
yeah,
what I play is worship songs.
worship songs. Okay.
Right, right. I mean, like even to today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do play. And then if you catch me in that mood,
Element.
like you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, yeah, that's it. So for me, it's
Mm-hmm.
music.
Okay.
So if I'm listening to someone
Mm-hmm.
who is praising God, I don't listen to music as every other person. I try to visualize the place the person is writing the song from. So
Mm-hmm.
I get into that place. To get to whether you're singing about anything, yeah.
Okay. So you decide now that you'll start recording away
Yeah. Yes.
from church.
Yes. I just wanted to be and then something happened by the way that also drove me off the church. Yeah.
Mm, yes, so I was getting to that.
Yeah.
A lot of guys who switch from being religious to being spiritual
Yeah.
always almost attest that to something happening within their life
Yeah.
that made them change course or see things in a
In a
different way,
different way, yeah.
right? So that's what happened,
Yes, kind of.
and
Because then I used to have laryngitis,
mm-hmm,
and it was really hard for me to I didn't even know what that was
mm-hmm,
because it was like it would bring mucus to my throat
mm-hmm,
even as a church singer. And then the pastors, they liked me singing in church.
mm-hmm,
Then but sometimes in the morning I come to church and the laryngitis is so bad and I
mm-hmm,
can't sing, and
mm-hmm,
I'm like, I don't want to sing, I can't sing.
mm-hmm,
And then everyone thinks, oh, he's proud because he thinks he can sing. But
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I really have a problem. Like, I'm in pain and no
mm-hmm,
one is actually understanding the fact that I am not okay at that point. So I felt like, okay,
mm-hmm.
maybe I should just sing whenever my voice is good.
Yeah.
That was how I decided, okay, if my voice is good anytime, I just go to the studio and record.
Mm-hmm,
So I don't have to, I can record something for other people out there to hear my voice
mm-hmm,
since I can't sing every time.
mm-hmm,
So, but like I said, the thing of the mind,
mm-hmm,
when when that stopped, how that went away, I didn't even know
mm-hmm,
because I stopped focusing on it.
mm-hmm.
When I started recording in the studio, I stopped focusing on the laryngitis and it went away.
It went away.
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, you're tuned into Icon Radio. This is Ediv on What's Poppin'. I am Shiiru Mwangi. We are talking about his life and music. 3 months into, he has been in the country for 3 months.
Yeah.
He has just released his first debut single in the country, Yes I Love, but he previously was known as JC Jones and had a whole EP. You had a whole
Yeah,
EP?
a whole EP.
Okay.
It's titled Ediv, by the way.
Titled Eddie.
Yeah, the EP.
So let's talk about that name. Every dream is valid.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to change your name from JC Jones to Ediv?
Okay. The change of name is from the fact that a lot has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then my family wasn't. It's not like they liked me singing. My mom was scared of me doing music because she thought
Mm-hmm.
if I start doing music, I would really like become who I am now.
Mm-hmm. So a stacking.
Something like that.
Uh-huh.
So because then she felt like I was kind of overboard even as a church
Mhm.
boy.
Mhm.
So imagine me like really not singing in the church. She
Mhm.
would think like, oh my god, my song is going to like really go off and all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried my best to make out. I got a scholarship to study music.
Okay.
And one of the best music institute in Africa, it's in Lagos, Tension Music Institute. They didn't let me go, and
Oh, really?
yeah, so yeah, I had to improvise. Then I went back to my home state.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to learn,
Mm-hmm.
I proposed to the owner of the music school that I wanted to teach some of his
Mhm.
students.
Mhm.
So that way, I was also learning the music instruments
Mhm.
while I was coaching voice.
Okay.
Yeah, then that was how. But after that,
Mm-hmm.
I got into the Voice Nigeria. That was when my family were like, okay,
That's something.
yeah, there's something. Yeah, so
Yeah.
then that's how I started just to record myself
Mhm.
and just be this person.
So you've pushed for your dream. You've pushed to
Yeah,
actually do your music.
I've pushed, and like coming from the place, I don't know. A lot of people have dreams,
Mm-hmm.
but okay, our parents they
Mm-hmm.
also they had dreams back then.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they tried and they failed, so they're
Mm-hmm.
scared.
Yes.
Sometimes that's why when they see us pursuing our dreams, they're really scared because they don't want you to go through the same heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Like your dreams really break your heart. That's like what breaks your heart the most.
That's
It
true.
really breaks your heart. So they're scared of us going into those things because like they don't want us to waste our time. That's why they just want you to go to school,
Mm-hmm.
get a job, get married, so you don't like waste your time because that's what they're scared of that.
Mm-hmm.
So and then some people also come from a place where uh nobody believes they have the rights to dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone is gonna ask you like your mom didn't do that, your dad didn't do that, nobody in your family has done that. What makes you think you can
You can
do that?
stand
So
out. Yeah.
I am representing every kid like that who like
Ooh.
people like don't think they have the right to dream. Yeah, so that's
Great.
basically so I want to like get up there so that when they see me
Mm-hmm.
and actually I don't want them to just wait until I talk. I want them to know that from just my name that every dream is
Every
valid.
dream
Yeah.
is valid. You have so much insight, so much wisdom. I wonder if this has been gotten from, is it music? Is it reading?
I read a lot.
You read a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, moving on from that, your lyricism. I haven't gotten the opportunity to
Yeah.
listen to your music as JC Jones. I need to look
You should.
for your music
for real.
before.
It's on
Yes, I
Apple
love.
Music. Yeah.
It's on Apple Music.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk about your lyricism. It feels very introspective,
Yeah.
deep.
It is.
I know the style of music that is trap soul, not trap soul, alternative
Yeah.
R&B tends to have that kind of
Yes, it does.
vibe.
It does.
But talk to me about who writes your music, how you write your music, and inspiration and everything
Yeah.
that has to do with how you write.
I write my music myself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I sit down and I write, and then some other time I get into the studio, then I play a sound because I'm an instrumentalist.
Mm-hmm.
I could
What do you
even
play?
I play the guitar.
The guitar.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
also play the piano and the
Piano
drums. Yeah.
and the drums.
So
Okay.
I could strike a key and then something comes to my head and I sometimes I don't even write it.
Mm-hmm.
I just like sing it. Like music creating process is
Mhm.
quite crazy somehow.
Mhm.
It depends on the mood you are in. Sometimes you write
Mhm.
and then when you try to fit it into the rhythm,
Mhm.
it doesn't fit in. All the riffs and runs and all of that, you have to actually just do that.
Mhm.
Just like Chris Brown, there are some things he does, you know for sure he didn't write those.
Yeah.
Like he just did those while he was recording. Yeah.
For
So,
sure.
but when I'm writing, I really write what has it's my personal experience. My
Mhm.
music should be like a mirror because everyone can see me, but I
Mhm.
want you to actually see me through my music,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. So, like, yes, I love
Mhm.
every music I've written. If I'm talking about love, I'm talking about anything, it's because I want to talk about it.
And
Like it was written
and
intentionally.
and you have experienced it.
Yes, and I have it.
Okay. So let's talk about coming up in the industry
Yeah.
in Nigeria, and I mean you will find out how it is to be an up and coming in the
Yeah.
country. But let's talk about what it is like to be an up and coming artist in Nigeria, because Nigeria is literally the bookmark or
Yeah.
the mark of what the world thinks
Yeah,
music
music.
from Africa is right now.
Yeah.
So many artists. There
It
are
is
some that
crazy being an upcoming artist in Nigeria. I mean, it's very crazy,
Mhm.
right? Because of the fact that Nigeria is already like there, it's already out there, right? So most people
Mhm.
tend to listen to music from a biased state of mind,
Mhm.
and now they also treat music in Nigeria like a marketplace. If you have something you're selling,
Mhm.
then you go to the market. If someone was going to that market to get something from you, and then he comes, and then you're not there in that market, the person goes to buy from someone else in that market, right? So that's it. So, and the market are the people who have made it like way up there. So most people in Nigeria listen to music based on what the market gives them.
What is commercialized at
Do you
that time?
understand?
Okay.
But there are people who actually just listen to music because they want to listen to music.
Mhm.
So because back back home, there are some songs that would drop. You wouldn't like it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But after a week, 2 weeks, you find yourself singing the songs. Like in Nigeria, they force music to you. Like you don't even
Mm.
have a choice. Like
Okay.
if the video drops right
Mm-hmm.
now and he wants you to sing that song in 2 weeks,
They
you're going to
you
sing it.
will.
You
Okay.
will, because everywhere you go,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's subconscious.
Okay.
It keeps registering in your subconscious mind, and then before you know it, and subconscious controls the conscious, obviously. So you you start singing the song. So
Okay.
most people tend to listen to music from the market, from the commercial part of it.
Okay.
But there are a lot of, so it is hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here in Nairobi,
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that everyone is doing, like, it gives you,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it gives you the freedom
Mm-hmm.
to actually be authentic,
Mm-hmm.
and then you wouldn't feel like you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are really standing there, like Thames is still doing her sound even while she's
Thames.
blown.
Yes.
Like, we have a lot of people like that, but then
Mm-hmm.
some, because of the fact that Nigeria is really commercial, when people start popping, they
Mm-hmm.
tend to change to
Mm-hmm.
what's commercial.
Yes.
So that's like one of, and then and for me, I feel like somehow it's selfish,
Mm-hmm.
because what happens to someone like me who has been listening to you for just who you are, for the
Mm-hmm.
kind of music you used to do, now because you're popping,
Mm-hmm.
you changed that, so now more like you used us and dumped us.
So that's a thing in the country actually,
Yeah.
because what usually happens is not all music sells.
Yeah.
And how you manage to convert music is in different ways in the country. We
Exactly.
have something called skiza tunes. We have brands partnering with your brand and making it somehow relate to maybe
Yeah.
your target
Ye-
audience.
yes.
So so you've talked about Nigeria being the same. There's commercialized music and then there's
Yes.
underground
Yes.
music.
Yes. Yes.
And Thames managed to make it out.
And actually, a lot of people had, Simi, I don't know if you know Simi.
Simi, I love
Simi, like,
Simi.
okay, basically Simi's record label,
Mm-hmm.
every artist they produce have an original sound,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the same record label that produced Praise. I don't know if you know
Mm-hmm.
Praise.
No, I don't.
Then Simi, that record label will push you until everyone would accept your sound.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care, like they won't change it. There are
Mm-hmm.
people like that. There are record labels, and there are a lot of people like there's OT community in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
There's a community that's OT, like, has my kind of fashion and my kind of music. So
Yes.
that's basically what they play, and they don't care
OT.
about. They
Yeah.
don't care about the other ones. They can come to parties on
There's
there.
that community in the country. You should hang out in where have you been in Nairobi? There's the Alchemist.
Yeah, I've been to the Arkham.
There's
Been there
there's a
once.
community of guys in Kenya who love alternative music,
Yeah.
and there's just a community of
Even
guys.
when I went there,
Mhm.
that the day I went to Alchemist,
Yeah.
I came in and they were playing Alter music, Nigerian Alter music.
Yes,
I was like, okay, that's it.
that's
Like a lot
that's
of
your
people,
place.
and they're actually, music, in as much as everyone wants to pop,
Mm-hmm.
but if you watch the people doing it from the overseas, like, the Drake and all of them,
Mm-hmm.
you see that these people actually, at the end of the day, they still stick to the sound,
Mm-hmm.
and their fans are there for them.
Yeah.
You know,
So the person that loves it, and the
if you
person
don't
that
love it, it's
doesn't.
okay. You mustn't love it.
Okay.
Do you get, like, but I hope, like, you actually understand that that is what loving. Do you
Mhm.
understand?
Mhm.
Like, for real, like, there are a lot of good artists who really make intentional music,
Mhm.
and they don't get that, that recognition, and they don't get people who listen to them. Even I love Ashake. If I go to the club, play me Ashake, I want to, like, dance to Ashake.
Mhm.
Yeah. But even while I'm listening to him,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also visualizing his intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Even as though the song is so upbeat and all, I'm also visualizing his intentions. So,
Mm-hmm.
most times we don't have whack artists. Most times the industry is not hard. Most times the problem is whack listeners.
Mm-hmm.
No, there are more whack listeners than whack artists.
Mhm.
There are more very poor listeners, like
Uh-huh.
people who have a very bad taste of music.
Mhm.
Like, they don't even know. They don't.
They don't know what good music
Yeah, they
looks
don't.
like.
They don't.
Okay.
Like. But I know there are a lot of people who do. A lot of people actually
There are people
do
who have
love-
good
yes,
taste as
yeah,
well.
a lot of people do.
All right. So yes, I love is a very dope song.
Thank you.
Really nice music
Yeah.
video, really nice
you.
visualizer. Let's talk about that. So it's a song about your woman. I'm not sure if this was first-hand experience or were you like speaking
Was I
from
just speaking for?
inspiration from
No, it's
a
it's
while
it's
back?
it's like my personal experience.
Your
Yeah,
personal
yeah.
experience.
I would say I've been a bad boy somehow.
You've been a bad boy.
Yeah.
What does a bad boy mean? What does being a bad boy mean? Tell us.
Like I've, I think I've probably like taking love for granted.
Oh,
All of
okay.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how bad you think you are,
Mm-hmm.
being a girl, being a guy,
Mm-hmm.
there are those cold nights. Those times
Mm-hmm.
when you actually remember the people who and when someone cares about you,
Let
that
me
this
tell
person
you,
cares
in
about you.
Nairobi,
Yeah.
in 3 months, in July, you see that cold. That cold will come into Nairobi in July.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of cold.
Yeah.
That time
Mm-hmm.
you don't even want to do anything. You just want to be with someone who you really care about, and
Mm-hmm.
then who you can be safe with. And
Okay.
and most times we reject such things. We
Mm-hmm.
push them away, and I have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was me reaching out,
Mm-hmm.
saying, I know.
Mm-hmm.
While all that was happening, you
Mm-hmm.
left, and then you came back because you wanted the
Mm-hmm.
best for me, and all of that stuff I was doing, and
Mm-hmm.
like you were there, and now I lost you. You're gone. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
said, "You gone bad. You gone bad." Like
Yeah.
that's now like I made her go bad, right?
Yes.
But whatever you're doing,
Yeah. Come
just
back.
understand that hey, I love you, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
know I messed up, but
Mm-hmm.
I do, yeah.
And
So
that's really, really relatable to a lot of people,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Because I feel like love songs, most times when people sing love songs, they make love sound so beautiful.
Mm.
Love is not. It's a beautiful thing, right? But the ride is not that beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It is the ride that makes it actually beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the love itself. It's all the hurdles and getting by all the arguments and all of that. That's actually, and then you guys get into an end. That's what actually makes it beautiful, but not
Journey.
the fairy tale stories, right?
Yeah.
So people tell love stories from it's all good part. So I'm trying to actually make people understand that there's pain, there's disappointment, there's all of that
In love.
in love.
Okay, so that is the whole theme of Yes I Love.
Yes.
Okay, so well, I agree with some of the things that you've said, but I also do not agree with
Okay,
some
tell
of
me
the
what
things
you don't agree.
that you have said about love. You
Okay.
said that the basis is you have disappointed them in so many
Yeah.
instances,
Yeah.
and now you want them to come back.
No, not
Uh-huh.
necessarily.
Uh-huh.
Not like I want her to come back. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like there's something they call it. Like when a girl breaks up with you, they keep asking you,
Mm-hmm.
are you sure you're done? Are you sure this? Are you sure this? Like you just give them some last words and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I know you moved on and I've moved on, right? But
Uh-huh. Bottom line.
if I could,
Yeah.
if I knew what I know now,
Mm-hmm.
then I wouldn't let you go.
Okay. All
That's
right.
not me asking her to come
To
back.
come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you understand me?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. A bit triggered, but moving on swiftly.
Tell me.
No.
We'll that song is made for you people, right?
Uh-huh.
For women. Yeah,
No,
basically.
I mean triggered in terms of when someone treats you badly and then they expect that you come back after you have realized, but you
Yeah.
have said that that was not your expectations. Those
Of
are
course,
not
you
your
don't expect to
expectations,
like hurt people
and then come back.
no, that's
Okay.
not. Yeah.
Okay, but let's move on to something a bit more easy to talk about, and
Okay.
that is your musical influences.
Uh,
You've talked about Tubaba and you've talked about One Day Call.
yeah.
Talk to me about how One Day Call has influenced your music.
Wandeko is like the king of Afro R&B.
Mm.
Yeah, he is. Everyone like everyone he has influenced the life of Oxlade.
I love
Everyone.
Matrimony.
Yeah, everyone.
Mhm.
He has influenced like the life of everyone. One from Oxlade to Fireboy to everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah, everyone.
Okay.
Literally, like he's like the voice. That's what they call him.
The voice.
Yeah.
So
That's why Miracle was like Shay, you sing past one day cool.
Mm-hmm.
It means you think you
Mm-hmm.
can sing more than one day cool. Sorry, oh, that's what it
Ooh.
means. Like
Okay.
everyone knows he's like the voice.
Okay.
Yeah, so and his style of music,
Mm-hmm.
he can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just give Wandiko a beat and he puts the Wandiko sound on that beat. So that's who I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I could literally jump on any kind of beat,
Mm-hmm.
beat on my piano, beat anything.
Ooh.
I just put my sound on it.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
So
There are
mhm.
also other people like
Uh-huh.
who are
Yes.
like Bryson Tiller. I love Bryson Tiller. I listen to him a lot.
I
Yeah.
haven't had
Yeah,
of him.
he's literally like the one of the originators of the trap soul music.
Ooh,
Yeah, he
chop
even
so.
have an album that's titled Trap Soul.
What's his name again?
Bryson Tiller.
Bryce?
Yeah, Bryson Tiller.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not
No,
like
I know Bryson.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think
yeah.
the pronunciation
Yeah,
Bryson. Yes.
yeah. He's
Bryson
like the
Tiller.
lover boy.
Yes.
He's like
Yes.
the lover boy.
Bryson Tiller
And then
guy.
you always hear the
Yes.
pains and all of that in his music.
Yeah.
His music is not about sweet love. Like it's not about love is all sweet. Do you get it? Like you have to like tell the whole story about love. Love is there's pain in it. Like we all know. Sometimes all the toxicity and stuff. Sometimes you have to let people go, but you're not letting them go, and then you don't even know why.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Yeah. So I
Okay.
did not just I really just listen to good people. Like I'm a lyricist.
Lyrics.
I'm a
Okay.
lyricist. Yeah.
So Bryson Tiller, One Day Call, Two Face,
Yeah,
Two
Tubaba is
Baba.
like a general.
Two Baba Godo. Eh.
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from that, now let's get into the elephant that is your style. Your style is so dope.
Thank
Talk to me
you.
about your jewelry,
Yeah.
your what is happening with your outfit today and on other days, because I've been through your Instagram feed
Yeah.
and everything is just
Thank you.
beautiful. Talk to me about your style.
Okay.
What inspires your style? Do you style yourself? Where do you get your ideas
Yeah,
from?
I style myself.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, my style is okay. I don't want to sound like I don't know, but my style is basically walk into a room and be different.
Ooh,
That's it.
stand out.
Yeah, just walking. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
no one is looking like that. Even
Uh-huh.
if there are a million people in that room,
Mm-hmm.
just be the only one looking that way.
That reminds me of what Rihanna said about so in one of her many speeches,
Yeah.
she says that in spite of the fact that sometimes I don't feel like I am all that, I am dope,
Yeah.
I know that when I get into a room, I look better than everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fashion is not about what you wear. It's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Fashion is not about clothes.
Yeah.
It's your lifestyle. It's your charisma. It's who you are. Like literally, someone else could wear what you're wearing right now,
Mhm.
and they would not look cool. But you look so cool in them.
Thank you.
You get it? Like
Uh-huh.
fashion is about who is wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's a lifestyle. So
Mhm.
me, I don't even plan my outfits.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yeah, I wake up and then I'm like, okay. I can get creative very fast about what I wear.
Yeah.
So I just put on like, okay, this looks good,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have to be normal. It should never be normal.
What does your wardrobe look like? I'd like to see that.
a lot of boots.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
A lot of boots,
Yeah, I wear a lot of boots and then a lot of hats.
a lot of
And a
hats,
lot of glasses.
a lot of
A lot
glasses.
of glasses.
Okay. Talk to me about your jewelry, your braces. Are they braces?
Yeah, they're grills.
They're grills.
Yeah.
Okay, they're really, really, really dope, guys.
Thank you.
So aside from that, let's talk about who you'd love to talk to in terms of collaborations in Kenya. Who you're looking
Yeah.
to work with? Are there any conversations already happening?
Not yet because
Mhm.
like we're still trying to
Get in.
to some
Mhm.
certain people,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, but there can have a lot of dope artists. Yeah?
Yes.
I love Nikita.
Mhm.
Like yeah.
Oh,
she's-
Nikita
she's so-
Kering,
yeah,
yeah.
Nikita Kering. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because I found my director from watching Nikita Kering's video on
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I watched the Onya video. I'm like, who shot this video? I want this guy to shoot my video. So that's
Yeah.
how I started looking for him.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the guy who shot my video for Yes I Love.
Okay.
So collaborating with Nikita Kering is going to be dope because like she writes my kind of music, she sings my kind of music. So like the both of us can like really spark up, and then I love if I wanted to record something, crazy. I'll obviously want to collaborate with Butchers.
With Butchos. Butchos is Icon Radio's friend.
Really?
Yes. So that I know how I can talk to. Her name
Oh,
is Saisa for you to
okay.
get through to Butchos. Butchos is Icon Radio's friend.
See that?
So
He's crazy. Like like I really, I don't hate Swahili, by the way.
yeah,
So, but Angie is one of my favorite songs.
Angie. Yes, Angie is a hit.
Yeah, it is.
Angie is a
It is.
hit.
Like because what happened was when I
Mhm.
was looking for a director, one of the directors I met showed me videos. They were
A
shooting,
couple of
and
videos.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he had shown me. I didn't know him until
Mhm.
I saw that video, and the guy was looking different.
Yeah.
He was looking different.
Yeah.
So that was what really got me. I'm like, who is this guy?
Okay.
Yeah, and then I started checking him out, and I'm like, oh, he's dope. He's dope. If I wanted to record something like that, I could even put him on anything. I'm sure because I've heard him do his slow raps and all. Like he's good. He's good. Yeah. Another person that I really like, even though I don't know if he's underrated here, is Barak Jacuzzi. He's
Ooh,
dope.
Barack
Yeah.
Jacuzzi.
He's dope. Yeah, he's dope. By the way, like he's dope. I met him sometime at our boiler room. Yeah,
At
she took
Boiler
me
Room.
out.
Yeah.
So he's dope. He's dope. I'd listened to his stuff, and then Ben Soul also.
Okay, Ben
Yeah,
Soul,
Ben Soul
Papa
was
Soul.
dope.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
obviously, or the end of
Bien, Sauti
yeah,
Soul.
that's so
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I love the new song he did with Ira Star.
Ooh, no, Rush. No, what was it?
My baby.
My baby.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Dope. Final remarks. What are you listening to right now?
Okay, I'm actually listening to uh Cinderella Girl by Black Bones
Black Bones.
and My Baby by Bien
My Baby
featuring
by
Ira
Bien.
Star. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
I'm listening to right now.
All right. You had it here, guys. My Baby, Bien,
Yeah.
Ira Star, and
And then
Cinderella.
Cinderella Girl by Black Bones.
Cinderella Girl by Black
Yeah,
Bone.
featuring Ludacris.
Featuring Ludacris. Thank you so much for making
you.
time. My what's the name of the song?
Yes, I love.
Yes, I Love
Yeah.
is really dope.
Thank you.
It's streaming on all digital platforms and playing on iconradio.co.ke. Would you come back next week?
Of course.
There's someone I need you to meet. There's a different show that comes in on Friday. Oh, today
Yeah.
in the morning. Called The Stitch. You need to meet Sandra and DJ Azcom, the Niger boy.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to.
I'll hook you up with that as
love
well.
to.
But thank you so much for
Thank you
coming
very
through.
much.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And with your music is dope. It is great.
Thank you
It is
very much.
deep.
I
It
really
makes
appreciate
sense.
that.
And I love it. I love
Thank
your
you.
style.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you very much.
This is Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. I am Shiiru Mwangi. Please keep your feedback, your questions coming, everything that you'd like to know about Ediv. I will, send the questions to him and he will tell us the answers or he will
Anything.
give us the feedback. Where can everyone can find Yes I Love on Spotify,
Spotify.
Apple Music,
Yeah.
YouTube,
Audio
everywhere.
Mark everywhere.
Okay,
Boomplay,
Uh-huh.
everywhere. On YouTube Music,
Mhm.
Spotify, and then you can find me on Instagram at Best
On
Believe
Instagram, yeah.
Ediv,
Uh-huh.
Twitter at Best Believe Ediv, and then TikTok at Best Believe Ediv.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Thank
then
you so
on
much.
YouTube
Uh-huh.
is Ediv Official.
Ediv Official.
Yeah.
Best Believe Ediv on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok.
yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
And you look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I live for that. Let's get back into some music.
Thank you.
Well, this is Icon Radio, your number one entertainment plug. I am Shiiru Mwangi. You're still tuned in to What's Poppin', where we give you the best of entertainment news, infotainment news, anything that has happened within the week that would make you a bit intrigued, a bit excited, a bit something, is what we do every single Friday. We have a really, really dope show today, and I must say, I have never been this excited. The first guest, Ediv, just stepped out. Dope track that he has released. Yes, I love streaming on all digital platforms. But right about now, ladies and gentlemen, I am fangirling because I have a seasoned journalist. I have a journalist who has roots in a different country but is from Kenya. And I have a journalist who has a wealth of experience. And I cannot wait to talk to her, or I am really ready to talk to her. Her name is Amina Akram. Amina Akram. Did I pronounce it?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You pronounced it properly.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Yes.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Amina Akram. I was an economics reporter for the South African Broadcasting Corporation for close to 20 years. I've been a journalist for over 30 years. I have been a journalist in Kenya and have been a journalist in South Africa. So I have been a journalist in two countries, and I have experience from both sides.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm tempted to tell you Karibu Kenya because you've been in South Africa for many, many, many years and you just came back, did you?
Yes, I did. I came to visit because I relocated many years ago when I was still young to pursue a career in journalism when Kenya was not yet a country where journalism was considered a career. So I left and I moved to South Africa to pursue a career in journalism. And then I ended up being a business and economics reporter.
Okay.
So I have been a business and economics reporter for more than 25 years. Yes.
Okay. So you work at SABC?
Used to work at
Used to
SABC.
used to work at SABC. So where are you at now?
I have just left the South African Broadcasting Corporation. I want to pursue exciting things. So that's something, you need to be on the lookout for. So it's just an open space where I want to get into something new media, new adventures, new changes. So I am looking at that sort of opportunity somewhere else, but I am here to talk about my experience, what I have discovered being a journalist over the past 30 years.
Yeah.
And basically what it has been like working in Kenya and what it has been like working in South Africa. Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why I say that I am fangirling is because I should have studied journalism. Initially, my first degree should have been in journalism. I studied finance. So I always also assumed that the way for me to have become a journalist with my background is to get into business journalism. But I know it's a lot. There's a lot to learn. You need to have your information really correct. So let's talk about going to South Africa to pursue journalism and why you couldn't pursue it in Kenya.
Like I explained, I initially left when I went to Aga Khan High School. Woohoo!
Woo, Aga
In
Khan.
Westlands. Yes, I graduated in 94. And I have always wanted to be a journalist. And the late Joe Carthy was one of the people that actually sort of string me along into the industry, introduced me to the industry. I actually worked for the Standard newspaper in Likoni Road when they were still in Likoni Road. And when they used to have the Now magazine in the middle of the newspaper.
Okay.
So I used to write the lyrics in the Now magazine that used to come in the middle of the Standard newspaper. A lot of people can remember. They used to take the pictures of the artists and pin them up on the wall and,
Yes.
read the lyrics. So they used to have what you call desktop publishing and a couple of other young reporters. We started the Now magazine concept. And we used to interview a lot of entertainers. So initially when I started in the industry, I started in the entertainment industry. So I did work quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then after that, I had to leave because journalism in Kenya at that point, this was like sort of like late, early late 90s,
Yeah.
wasn't considered. It wasn't really a course to do for an undergraduate. They had it, but they had it as a postgraduate. So you would do like politics and then master into journalism to do it as a postgrad. So a lot of the people that I met were actually postgrads, but they had something else. So I had to leave. So I journalism careers, hence I went to Cape Town. I went to Cape Peninsula Institute of Technology, so I had to go and study journalism, and I actually did my internship at a newspaper called the Cape Argus. So I've done everything under the sun.
That has to do with journalism?
That has to do with journalism. I've done online, I've done print, I've done radio, I've done TV, I've done newspapers. I've been an editor for a magazine. I used to work for Business in Africa magazine in Johannesburg. And I think when I graduated, it was very difficult to find a job. And I remember meeting someone who said to me, why don't you pursue business reporting? And hence, when I got in it, I really got hooked on it. Because business reporting, it looks really technical. It is a technical skill. And doing it for radio is even worse because you have to simplify you have to simplify the numbers because it's very technical and a lot of people don't understand economics.
Yeah.
They don't understand business. So you have to make it simple to the people who are listening, simple to the people who are reading, simple to the people who are watching, So it's very technical. And when I first got into the industry, I realized it's more of an analysis more than, looking at the numbers and analyzing and looking at the impact.
And interpreting
and interpreting those numbers.
Okay. So you've really given me a lot of information. So let's first go back still, before you went back to South Africa. Which genre of journalism were you drawn to? Was it radio, print, or you just knew you wanted to be a journalist?
I just wanted to be
a journalist.
Ever since I was 8 years old, I used to read these books and all I wanted to do was be in a newsroom. I didn't care how I was going to get there. I just really wanted. So I knew what I really wanted to do right from the get-go. And I'm so grateful to God that I have been able to get into an industry where I've been able to, be paid for a hobby, like something I really, really wanted to do. So, and I mastered it. So I really wanted to do that. And initially I wanted to do health. That's what I wanted to report on. Yes. I actually did. If you look at my previous publication, I did a lot of stories on mental health. I'm one of the first people that broke stories on Madare Hospital, when they had this groundbreaking research, when they were doing new research on, schizophrenia and basically the whole concept and misguided opinions on why Black people don't take mental health seriously.
Yes.
I was one of those first people that actually wrote those stories, and I was pretty much very young. I was 18, 19. I was very, very young. And to get into those places and interview people was just exceptionally very exciting for me.
Oh, exciting. Okay. I've just completely lost my trail of thought. But so how was so you were in you were in Kenya, then you went for your undergrad in South Africa.
Yes.
So you had not experienced the journalism landscape in Kenya.
I had, because I'd actually done quite a bit. So we did stories. I mean, I interviewed a lot of artists when I initially first started in the industry. Kalamashaka, Hardstone, I think Ted Josiah, who is now moved away from the entertainment industry, he was the guru of all these artists those days. And then we would also get a lot of international artists that would come into the country. So I did quite a bit of work because I was quite young, and I'm very grateful that Standard gave me that platform. And I think they understood that if you are a young reporter in the newsroom, that was the place where it's the best place for any young reporter to start in the entertainment industry, because you understand music, you understand the you understand the hype, because culture, urban hype culture and hip hop and all that is really associated with younger people. So they threw us actually in the right place. So we did a lot of that. And then slowly they started giving us other stories. So we did do quite a lot of stories. I interviewed a lot of people in urban poor areas. We were always in Kibera, in Madare, in Dagoretti, in places where we could get the stories, where we could find the stories, where we could tell the stories of the people. That was the most important thing. The people on the ground, what are they eating? What are the young people saying? issues around unemployment, issues around education. We did a lot of work before I had left Kenya. Yeah.
So, which broadcasting companies were coming up at that time?
KBC was kind of losing its ground at that particular point. It was Kenya Television, KTN, was just starting to pick up. And then the television industry hadn't really broken ground like the way it is today in Kenya. I mean, Kenya's media industry has leaped in bounds. You can't compare it to other African countries. I mean, it's phenomenal to come here. You know, I do come here, but just to come here and see that younger people are actually taking up the space, opening radio stations, opening TV stations when we had just one or two TV stations long term. We didn't have that option. There was no competition. So when you were looking for a job as a journalist, or if you wanted to be a journalist, like 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, those platforms were not there for you. And you had to create, or you had to go outside to create those platforms for yourself. So it's amazing to come back and actually see the growth of the media industry in Kenya and see it overtaking other countries and see it growing the way it has. And it's just a very, it's such a unique space to be in. And actually just to come back and talk about it in one of the radio stations like yours, where you have it on radio and then you also have it online, where you have me talking about the media industry, how it looked like then versus what it looks like today.
Yeah.
So quite a really interesting space to be in. And I'm very happy that this is the kind of turn that the media industry has taken in Kenya.
Okay.
So we did do extensive work, but it wasn't as broad and competitive as it is today.
Yeah, because when I think about it, the guys that I assume were coming up or were in the industry at that time was the late, great Catherine Kasavuli, John Njoroge.
There was Emmanuel Juma, there was Farida Karone.
Farida Karone.
It was Jeff Koinange was still here. He was working for Reuters, I think, at that point. And then, we would have press conferences and there were events that would happen within the entertainment space. There were big events that would happen. I used to remember they used to have this car wash event that would happen on the carnival grounds. And you have all this media, young people and older people, meeting in one space. We used to go to press conferences, all of us. I'm sure everybody has moved. Some have moved away from the media industry, but we would converge into one place together and we would all be in this, so we pretty much know each other because we used to see each other in press briefings. And then everybody just moved away from that and other people pursued other things. But it was a really, the journalists at that point were really few. We were not many because it was an era where you were supposed to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, an engineer. Nobody looked at journalism as a serious profession. And there were people that actually wanted to do it seriously. I mean, photojournalism at that point was such a serious skill to have that you had Reuters, AFP, AP, taking and training these people. It was such a serious skill to have. But nowadays, everybody has a cell phone. I'm not saying that, being a photojournalist is disappeared, but eventually it's one of those industries that will phase out.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
everybody, you've got community journalism nowadays. So, but those days, the equipments were heavier and it was taken literally very, very seriously.
Yes. So you move to South Africa, you pursue your undergrad, you're trying to get into the job market. Someone suggests that you get into business journalism.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the difference when you got there and what you found.
South Africa is a young democracy, still is a young democracy.
Yeah.
Wonderful, beautiful young democracy. They are enjoying being this new player in the African space. They haven't even yet moved to digital migration. That's how far behind they are, but they are just in this growing space where anything is possible for them. And when I moved there, I mean, the media industry was actually way much more advanced than what it was in Kenya, because they already had this trove of journalists that were already covering the apartheid. So the industry there was so big because they had a lot of reporters that had covered apartheid when it was still there. They were covering the freedom, the movement from Mandela being freed into prison. So it was an exciting time to be in South Africa. So when I moved there, they had just started, people had just started enjoying this new democracy. And, being a journalist in that space was just all about you trying to figure out what is your niche skill. So I got in there with a very positive mindset and thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to pursue. So I moved, kind of like not knowing what I'm going to do. And then I ventured into business journalism. And it was a very interesting time because they had what you call Black economic transformation, where pretty much a lot of the economy was still being dominated by white citizens. And so having Black people participating in the economy, I saw that happening. Because I got there when it was just unfolding, where Black people were just starting to own businesses, where they were getting into conglomerates, where they were, putting money in the stock exchange. It was so interesting. So getting into business reporting in that particular time was quite breathtaking, because you are a first witness to see this young democracy trying to have an inclusive economy. So I got in during that time.
Did you understand the magnitude of what you were getting into?
No, I had no idea, because coming from Kenya, you assume that, Kenya we were colonized. We are our parents had television sets. They had cars. We grew up in houses where there were fridges and TVs, and you're moving into a place where people were oppressed by apartheid, and then you have people that do not have those privileges that you have. And you get into that space and you don't really understand, and you have to learn and understand. It's almost like you're learning from scratch and trying to not judge, but get into a space where it's a learning opportunity for you. So there was a lot of surprises, and there was a lot of like, oh my goodness. And then you just get into that space and just, learn as you go. And it was very, sometimes very emotional, just to get into that space and realize, just understand what apartheid actually did to the people of that country, and how it really oppressed Black people. And then you had this situation where the poverty and the inequality, which is still there, was so huge. And you try to understand, okay, so now they have a young democracy. How do they get the participation of Black people into the economy? And just seeing that unfolding, and looking at government changing their policies and their regulations, trying to just change everything at a snail's pace so that everybody can be incorporated into this new growing democracy. That was very fascinating.
Okay, so you've talked about the black
Previously
natives,
disadvantaged,
previously disadvantaged, getting into the economy, and the economy growing. So in the recent couple of years, it has looked like they have now turned against each other with the rise in xenophobia.
Xenophobia it's actually it is there, but I think to some extent it is really misguided by the press, because when you look at the media and you look at the TV, I'm not saying we're partly to blame. I just suppose that I suppose if these things happen now with Twitter and with TikTok and with podcasts, it's going to be an avenue for you to really see what's happening on the ground. But when xenophobia was happening, at the point where it was happening, remember, we didn't have all these avenues where you could, platforms where you could air these things. So it looked like the whole country was in chaos, but it was actually certain parts of the country where this was happening. And there's always been this misguided conception that South Africans do not like Africans from other African countries, which is not entirely true. But remember, South Africans, previously disadvantaged, including South Africans in general, have not really been exposed. I mean, now they have, because previously, because of apartheid and all that had happened, a lot of them did not have that exposure to venture outside their space. And the people that actually came in from South Africa were not from very far. You had mine workers. South Africans had always had African foreigners in there.
Yeah.
You always had immigrants from Lesotho, from Mozambique,
From
from
Kenya.
Namibia. No, Kenya was very far. And you had the migrants coming in because of mining. And those migrants that came in were from neighboring countries, and the language was the same. So they were not really seeing us, African foreigners from other African countries, as opposed to the last, I would say, 10 years, where South Africa has had a very huge influx of African foreigners from West Africa, from East Africa, from North Africa. So I think that was kind of like a culture shock for them. And it had nothing to do with, the fact that the foreigners are taking over their jobs or anything. I think it was just really misguided. And sometimes politicians and, activists, fuel this unnecessary clashes. And it tends to feel in and out, but the government is trying to quell. And there has been a lot of education towards its citizens, for them to try and understand that we're all from one continent, we're all one people, we all need to work together. So there has been a little bit of that going on. And on top of that, I would say over the past 5 to 10 years, there has been a lot of South Africans leaving their country, traveling in other African countries and learning about other African people as well. So that has helped to quell the sort of xenophobia flares that happens here and there.
Okay, so have you covered xenophobia?
No.
Okay.
I have not, because I have been an economics and business reporter. Yes.
So there was no way for it to tie into what was happening during that time when the chaos erupted.
There has been all sorts of chaos in South Africa, even like in Kenya. There has been chaos. Chaos happens in any country.
Yeah.
You tend to have, there was riots, the July riots
Yes.
in South Africa, where people went to the streets and rioted.
Which
all
happened at the same time as the Kenyan riot.
I'm not sure whether it did happen at the same time, but there were riots everywhere.
Yeah.
And that was after the COVID, and people didn't have COVID. Has really killed the balance of economy. It has really increased poverty levels in a lot of economies, not just South Africa, but also in other countries as well. It's not just a South African problem. You go to any country in the world, the COVID has really damaged economies. And so what happened with every sort of situation where there's chaos in any country, it tends to have an impact on the economic growth of any economy. So with the xenophobic clashes, with the riots that happen, anything that has an impact on investment tends to have an impact on the economic growth of a country. Yeah.
Okay. So there you are, 18 years at SABC covering economics reporting. What has been your most impactful story? Or one or five, two, you can give me any. 1, 2, or 3, or 4, 5.
Oh my goodness. I have written a lot. I have to think. I would say, just in general, seeing the participation of more Black people in the economy in South Africa has been one of the best stories for South Africa. The growth of a middle class and basically the economic policies that were incorporated, that were introduced by government, from Mandela to Cyril Ramaphosa now, just to see how those policies have transformed the people, the growth, and just the long-term vision of that country. That is the biggest story of South Africa. South Africa is going through a lot of challenges right now with what they call load shedding, with inequality, poverty levels, high unemployment levels, youth unemployment levels. But
insecurity.
I beg your pardon?
Insecurity.
Security is one of it is a concern. It is one of the big concerns in South Africa, but it's also exaggerated by the media, because there are places where it is quite safe to be in. Obviously there is. But security is not just an issue of South Africa only. You go to Colombia, there's issues of security. You go to New York, there are issues of security. New York is not one of the safest places to be in.
For sure.
So you can't just say it's a South African problem. There's insecurity everywhere. So I would say those are the biggest, stories that we've covered, and just basically the issue of land transformation, just making sure that there is land transfer from, from previously, I mean, from the white previous regime to the previously disadvantaged people, and seeing more Black people acquire land. I think those are some of the great stories that you can take from there. I have spoken to kings, presidents, chiefs, CEOs, and just the growth stories of businesses has been the biggest stories I've ever covered in the country.
All right. So you've been in the game when there was traditional media and then digital media. How did you transition into that as a journalist? You personally, as an economics journalist, did you start? I mean, aside from writing, print became different since you can literally just come up with an article and put it up on Instagram as a caption. But how was that transition for you, and what did it look like?
I think for any Gen X generation, transitioning to digital migrate, I mean, to digital anything is just really, it's like we grew up at an age where we had to move from a Walkman, from an LP to a Walkman to a CD Walkman to a cell phone. We didn't have cell phones, so we had to be shocked by all that. That movement was quite shocking to our system. We had PCs where we played the Mac games. We had big screens. We've seen all sorts of
First of all,
transformation.
I can't relate. I came at the cassettes, the ones that you'd put in a player and you could record yourself and then put it back. That is where I came in. That was where I sort of found myself within the world. So I know yours is way back when, and you've seen a whole transition.
Yeah. And it has been quite something, because my son, who is 14 years old, I see him move with his gadgets and I cannot comprehend. He is so fast. He finds me so slow. So, and I'm sure the generation after him is going to be faster as we move into this new technology, into the new industrial revolution, as we move into AI, artificial intelligence and so forth. So it has been quite mind blowing, just looking at this industry. I mean, I remember I covered I was in Nakuru covering, if I stand to be corrected, it was the 96, 97 clashes. And I remember we were in the mountains where there was the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus fighting. And we were stuck right there and we couldn't move because there was chaos. And I remember when they released us, the first thing I had to do was run to find a fax machine to send the story. You had to call the office and put your story on a pen and paper and fax it to the office for them to get so I'm coming from there. And just to move from there to recording and typing something on your WhatsApp and sending a story, that is like, it's a really great leap of years of a move in technology and into the digital space. So I'm just telling you, like, as somebody who's coming from that, coming from newspapers where people used to run on a Sunday morning to go and buy a copy of a newspaper, to the dying age of the newspaper today, where you can hardly find a newspaper,
where
or
the
a
newspaper
magazine
is on your phone.
Yes, exactly. So you're coming from one aspect to another aspect is just for yourself is extremely shocking. It's shocking to the system. So imagine if you're in an industry and you have to move with the times. It is quite something, because you're moving with times and your career is moving with the times. So what I can say though is that the new technology has made things really easy, but to some extent it has jeopardized the quality of the kind of information you're getting, because we would make sure that the story is very well researched. There was no bias, everything was objective, as opposed to a click of a button and you get your stories. Nobody's checking anything that comes online anymore. And those days, any information we would double check, triple check, 4 check, 5 checks, whatever it has to be before we went on air. So the quality of the stories that we're getting today has has really been compromised. Yeah.
All right. So I'm not sure if in South Africa, being a journalist translates to being a brand, like in the Kenyan system of journalism, where our TV presenters, our TV personalities are actually celebrities. How is that like?
It is pretty much the same, but I worked for a public broadcaster, so our mandate was for the people, and it's not really, like, for instance, I was in the public space, but my information was more towards educating and informing, as opposed to like the private radio and maybe TV stations in the private space, where they don't have, where it's more commercial. Then you do tend to find not a really good definition between, because there's a lot of confusion now, because who is a journalist and who is a celebrity, there's a crossbreed between the two.
Yeah.
And journalism as a profession is actually dying. And my son says to me, oh, I've met people who have actually spoken to me, and they're like, I'd be in a room and be like, oh, I've never met a journalist before. And it's very strange, because it's a dying breed of professionals.
Yeah.
And you're like, because we meet at press briefings and you always assume there's so many of you. When you're in a press briefing, you're about 20, 30, and you always assume in your head, oh,
Everyone
there's
is
so
a
many journalists in the
yeah.
country. But when you're isolated, you're actually you just realize that, oh my God, we're so few. And so people don't understand that there are some celebrities who are not journalists, and there's some journalists who are
We're
not
not
celebrities.
Okay. So in that case, because when I can't help but think about or think of Caroline Motoko when I talk to you, because she is a great example of someone that I have managed to look at, as they have talked about being a journalist in the 90s, in the early 2000s, in the 2010s, up until now. So there's definitely an evolution of your brand as Amina Akram. So how do you stay relevant? How do you stay and relevance can be, how do you stay up to date? How do you ensure that people connect with you? How do you ensure that people are able to recognize you still as a journalist?
That's why, okay, well, it's a very difficult question to answer, because being in an era where we were not used to digital, we have to now improve our brands. So you tweet as much as you can, you make sure that you give information out there as much as you can. And I think a lot of people don't understand that the journalists, the old group of reporters, we are a hive of information. We are a walking hard drive. We have all this information stored in us. I mean, you could ask me anything about what happened in the 90s in Kenya, I'd probably tell you. Or what happened in the 80s, I'd probably be a source of information. And that's what people need to understand. Being a journalist is also someone who actually stores information, because you are actually a storyteller. So you have a wealth of information that you have stored. And it's important to keep a balance in any newsroom where you have people that are able to give that sort of information, and you have a younger generation that is able to give this new information, because then that way you always have a balance and people can always fact check, because you don't want to be on air or you don't want to be on TV and you're talking to this, a really big politician, or you're talking to a chief, an older chief, and you're a younger person, and he's talking to you, and you don't know what happened in his village
In the
20
90s.
years ago. He won't take you seriously. You
Yeah.
need to have at least a balance where you're able, depending on who you're interviewing, you can take your, CNN does it. They have the Christina Mampours and the
Yeah.
old group of people. And you see when they interview the older generation, they pull them out of the, of this place and get them to interview these people. There always has to be a balance, because if you don't do that, then you tend to lose the news gathering kind of like network. You need to have a proper balanced networking stream of old and new, so that your news makes sense. And I think that's the relevance of people like older generation journalists who fortunately or unfortunately, I know some of them don't like doing it, have to transition into the new space,
Yeah.
have to transition into the digital
Digital.
era,
Yeah.
and actually print out what is in their head into that space. And that is the only way they can brand themselves, is to move into the new digital space.
Okay. So what makes for a good journalist
Um,
in your
I
opinion?
think media ethics, just to make sure that you are ethically all the time, not taking bribes, not being corrupted, and objectivity is the biggest thing. Just that's the difference between a celebrity and a journalist. Is in the journalism school of thought, is that you always have to make sure that your story is balanced. You are not supposed to give an opinion of what you think. That's the job of people that write columns and politicians and whatever. That's not your space. Your space is to report on what is
truth.
happening accurately, truthfully, honestly, and with integrity.
So media ethic only. Aside
Yeah.
from that, okay. One more, just for someone who would want to become a journalist. They need to have media ethic,
Good
know your story,
communication
good
skills.
communication skills,
People's person.
people
You have to be
person.
able to interview people well, and it's you have to be able to move almost like a chameleon. If you're going to be speaking to a pauper today and you're going to interview somebody poor today, you need to be able to transition to interview a king tomorrow without affecting you. You can't be speaking to a poor person, and as you speak to the king tomorrow and you tell him, oh, do you know, by the way, yesterday when I was speaking to that poor person, you're eating 20,000 whatever here, and you have 20,000 whatever here, you've got millions here, and yesterday I was speaking to this poor person that doesn't have bread. You really have to constrain yourself. You need to be able to remove yourself from that kind of a situation where you're like,
Taking sides.
don't let things attach you. I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of reporters, not just me, need, and I think a lot of newsrooms have failed, is giving therapy to reporters, because we tend to see a lot, especially general news reporters, just seeing
And
crime
human interest.
scenes. Yes, crime scenes,
Journalist.
watching accidents. I covered one of the biggest stories in South Africa. It was called the state capture. And after a while, it had so much psychological impact on me, because the stories of corruption and how they were stealing money from the government was phenomenal. And you're reporting that, and it was difficult to dislocate from that, because you go home and you're so sad. It did get to me at some point. Like, we were not given any therapy. And I think it's important as a newsroom to look into the mental welfare of journalists, because we really go through a lot, we really see a lot, and we really endure a lot. Sometimes, even if it's not your fault, you're just doing your job. You would be working for a company or a newspaper or a radio station where maybe they are not ethical, and then you go and interview someone and they say, oh, you work for this particular radio station, I don't want to talk to you. But it has nothing to do with you. It's kind of like you're shooting the messenger, and it's not your fault.
Yeah. So you seem like you have such a passion for mental health and wellness.
Yeah.
I did read that from your bio
Yes.
that you sent to me.
Yes.
What are the strides that you've taken in ensuring that you stay sane and you stay balanced and you give your best in terms of what you do?
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
So you wake up and just say, I went through yesterday, today is a new day. And you just keep it moving. So it is important, because if you're not able to have mental stability in this industry, I don't think you would be able to survive it. There's so much that is thrown on you, and every day you have a new story. It's not easy for just any normal person to do something different every day, yet we as reporters are expected to do that. So it's just having a balance, and sunshine,
Yeah.
water,
Water.
and breathe, and
So
take your walk.
what keeps you going aside from taking a day at a time? Are there things that you do? Do you exercise, work
I
out?
do. I work out a lot. One of the first things I do in the morning is when I wake up. I wake up, I thank God I'm alive, but everybody wakes up. And it's very important to just take that cup of tea or water and just have, I call it like a 10-minute break in the morning. Just no cell phone, nothing. Just wake up in the morning and you breathe. You sit down and you drink your tea for 10 minutes
Without touching your
without
phone?
touching it, just to get your brain to take it all in and then start moving.
Okay. All right. You are a single mom.
Yes.
You have been with your son throughout your career. He has seen your here and your there, your ups and your downs. Is there what has it been like being in the industry as a single mom in South Africa? Is that a thing, or do you just keep on going? Do people talk about it? You've told me that you were a brand and people probably knew that about you.
It's not easy being a single mom anywhere, not just in South Africa. I mean, being a single mom in Kenya is not easy either. Just being a single mother anywhere in the world is not easy, especially if you're working by yourself. And, you know, the industry it's not an 8 to 5 job. You're not going to be working 8 to 5. And you're not going to be working in the same place all the time. So I think he has gotten used to me not, sometimes being there, sometimes not being there. So and in a way, I've taught him to be quite independent. And I do communicate to them and I tell him, Mom is going here and this is what I do. I have to go to this place since he was young. So he understands that when I'm not physically present with him, he understands that I've gone somewhere to do something, that I'm still going to come back to him. So there has been that communication. It's not an industry, I would say, at the beginning, it wasn't an industry before the whole branding and celebrity thing came in. It's not an industry before, was not really a female friendly industry. I don't know if it is today, but in some places I still think journalism is not a really female friendly industry because
Let's
of
talk
the working
about that
hours.
actually.
Yeah.
What are the challenges that you faced as a female journalist from Kenya, from a different country in South Africa? First of all, can they tell? Can they tell that you're Kenyan?
Oh yes, they can. I
Okay.
mean, my accent's pretty much, I don't know what it sounds like now, but it has moved from an East African to a Southern African accent. I don't know, the way you talk, a lot of people will ask you where you're from.
Yeah.
That's one. But honestly speaking, I mean, I have spoken to my son, and there are industries, the working hours in the industries is one of the biggest challenges for single mothers.
For sure.
Because you don't know what story you're going to be covering tomorrow, and you do not know it's not like you go somewhere and okay, I have this spreadsheet that I have to do, and by 5 o'clock I'll be done. It's not like that. You're going to go somewhere to do a story and you don't know what time it's going to end. There's no telling what direction the story is going to take, or waking up tomorrow and not knowing what's going to. We might wake up tomorrow and there's a country that's burning. How are you going to tell when this country is going to stop burning? You don't know. You just have to go there, get going, get reporting, and then you don't know what the working hours are going to look like. So that's unpredictability of not knowing what time you're going to get home, not being able to plan around yourself and your life, and being able to tell your child, tomorrow we can do this, is what is the biggest challenge for single mothers in the industry.
Okay. So what do you believe is the future of journalism?
I think the future of journalism is in the digital space. It is a dying industry. You just have to decide as a journalist whether you will incorporate yourself into this new digital space or die in the old space. And if you die in the old space, you will not have any jobs. I think it's up to every individual and every journalist. I I don't think it would be a good advice for any person to pursue the industry today like the way we did before. Rather, incorporate a lot of things. If you are going to become a journalist today, try and be like an octopus. Be a digital designer, be a producer, be a broadcaster, be a brand, rather than just do journalism, because the industry is not the way it was before. And you need to find your space in this new digital platform. You just need to find your space in this new era. You need to find your way, build your brand in this new way, in this new world of how how the world is moving today. And you have to do that, otherwise you're going to be left behind.
Okay. What are the opportunities for young journalists in, for example, South Africa? I understand Rhodes University used to have a program for journalists. Are there still these kinds of things that?
Yes, yes. Look, journalism is kind of like split into two. You either do it very academically and then go into research, or you do it like what I've done, where you do it technically and then you're in the field, because that's what we did. I mean, we are technical reporters. I mean, we did so kazi ya mkono.
Yes.
We are in the field. We're doing it. We're with a microphone. We're running around. We're running away from the cops. We're being tear gassed. Our cameras and equipments are being stolen. You're being insulted out there. So kazi ya mkono. You either do it that way or you do it very academic, where you're reading and then you're kind of like you move into research and you move into the corporate space. So it's up to you. I think it's each and every individual, each and every journalist that's out there, every student that's doing journalism, to decide for themselves, what is it that I see in myself? What is it? The most important thing is to have a passion for it. Because if you do not have a passion for this industry, do not pursue
Try.
it.
Okay. 30 years later, are you where you thought you would be?
I'm exactly where I thought I'd be.
You're exactly where you thought you'd be.
I'm exactly where God thought I'd be.
Okay.
And I am very blessed and I'm very grateful. And I've always wanted to pursue this industry. So for me, this is a dream come true, because this is what I always wanted to do with my life.
Okay.
And I've done it diligently. I've done it well. I'm still doing it with a passion. And I still think if I'm blessed, I can still do it for another 30. I can do it for another 60 more years.
Okay. All right. Round of quick fire questions for you. Tell me about something that has caught your eye this week, something that you've heard about that was like, interesting. Can be about anything.
That the government of Kenya is considering raising taxes. That was interesting. 5 things. Let me see.
It could be 2 or 3.
Oh my goodness. What was interesting? Oh wow. Kigali airport is amazing. Super clean. And they're building a new airport. I mean, Rwanda, that's another story altogether. I think is a phenomenal country.
Yeah.
What else was quite breathtaking? Oh my goodness, the expressway, the highway. I do come, but I'm just, wow. I mean, this thing is just got a legs of its own.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with the expressway.
Okay.
I mean, that is one of the best things that the
That you've
government Kenya has ever done for its people.
Okay.
And just seeing businesses growing in the country and just looking at Africa growing as a whole, it's a nice and exciting place to be.
Okay.
As an African today.
All right. As we wrap up, what are you listening to right now on your playlist? Anything?
Oh my goodness. I listen to a lot of Kizomba. I don't know if people know what Kizomba is. It's a lot of Angolan Portuguese music.
French?
No, it's Portuguese.
Portuguese.
I just speak a little bit of basic Portuguese. I listen to, oh my goodness, I had a podcast. I was listening to Eusebius Makeza. I think he was talking about something. And another podcast where there's a story in South Africa where a guy broke out of jail. His name is Tabo Bester. And the girlfriend, I don't know, the wife or whatever it is,
The wife.
she broke him out of prison,
Uh-huh.
and they burnt a dead body somewhere and pretended that it was his. Anyway, he was caught. So I was listening to something on that, and musically, yes, I like a little bit of rap and hip hop. So that's it's basically yes. And on Netflix they have a new thing called Cleopatra. So I'm trying to watch
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I'm also catching that. It's really dope. What else can I ask you? What would you tell a younger Amina Akram? Maybe 1997, covering the clashes in Nakuru. What would you tell her?
Just to take it slow,
Mm-hmm.
and everything's going to be okay.
Uh-huh.
And she must just go for it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we tend to be scared to just reach for the sky
Mm-hmm.
and just go for it.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for coming through. This was really interesting. I will sidebar you a bit and talk to you. But this has been What's Poppin'. It is 20 minutes to 6 p.m. We had a really dope show. I really enjoyed having you. Comment down below on our YouTube page exactly what you thought about the show. Any questions that you might have for both our guests, Amina and Ediv. We'll come back and respond to them and talk to you on our socials. That is at Icon Radio KE on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook, just basically everywhere. This has been What's Poppin'. I am Shiiru Mwangi. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.